Hello and welcome everybody to today's Salesforce ISV series episode of the 𝗚𝗏𝗃𝗃 user group. Today our guest company is SimpleTranslate, and they're bringing with them the Simple Translation Workbench, an AI-driven tool for making translation easier. And our guest speaker will be Matej Brnadic, the CEO. We collaborate on this event proudly with Veracruz in Mexico, with Frankfurt, and with Campinas in Brazil. So, Rodrigo, would you say a few words to our audience?
Well, thanks for welcoming us, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this ISV series with you, René, and all the guys over here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Would you also say a few words?
Yes, so Daniel Stange, Salesforce MVP and long-time standing leader of the Frankfurt user group. I'm very happy to see a few people from our group here as well. As with a lot of the topics that René typically picks for ISV demos, translation is something that keeps on bugging me. So I'm super excited to learn about how offerings around translations will look, and to see how this potentially changes a big problem that keeps on bugging me.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. So in terms of structure, our guest speaker will first give us an intro, a brief one, then spend the main part on a live demonstration, and then we'll have a Q&A session. We have a Q&A channel. Please post your questions there. And yeah, let's get started. Matej, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, René. Let me share the screen right away. I somehow don't, oh, there it is. Perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect, very nice. So René asked me to make a short intro about myself in a PowerPoint, but to be honest, I didn't have too much time. But GPT also already knows a lot about me, so I just asked him and he will provide me a short update. So just very quick, I'm since 12 years in software development. 9 years I'm working with Salesforce. In the last 7 years, I have been a freelancer in several enterprise projects as a developer, as an architect, as an admin. And within these enterprise projects, especially international companies, I figured out that yeah, there is the need and there is also the big pain with translations. And that's why so I'm the co-founder of SimpleT. We started 2 years ago to create a web app, so a translation management system to be able to translate the metadata smooth, simple, quick. Exactly. Next to this translation topics, we already also have other products. It's not just about translation, but this is something I will not present today. It's maybe something for another session if you're interested into, which is AI-driven functionalities within Salesforce. So we have records, kind of components like Record AI, which can summarize the whole record pretty quick. We have components like an email AI to write emails, to understand emails, to answer to emails. We have components like File AI, which can analyze any files and then provide it into Salesforce records, and also agents, which has nothing to do with Agentforce, but agents powered by n8n, which can solve a lot of issues in a chat context, but also without a chat context in an agent context of AI. But I don't want to go too deep into these topics right now. Today, we will really concentrate and talk about the metadata translation. And that's where I will start right now. So, yeah, if you have any questions, just ask the questions. And René, from your side, maybe, or just also the other people interrupt me, you can ask the questions. Yeah, exactly. So let's jump into SimpleT. As you can see in here, we have 3 environments: a dev environment, a UAT environment, and a production environment. I just want to show it to you because SimpleT is not just translating one environment, it's really a translation management system for Salesforce. And I will go right away into SimpleT. So you can go to our website, SimpleTranslate.io, log in. There is a free version, so you can always use it totally for free. Exactly. Let's start with the metadata translator. This is the main feature of what we have implemented. Every translation is built in 3 phases. So we built it in 3 phases. The first one is we retrieve the data out of your organizations. The second one is we translate them for sure. And the third one is we deploy them again into your organization. Let me just demonstrate that quickly. So I will go to this production environment. I select the metadata I want to be translated, or I want to fetch at first. So I will not select them here, but here. In this case, I will just select button link label, custom fields, custom labels, big list values, and validation error messages. The other one I will let for the next time. Here comes the most complicated part about our project, because Salesforce is, when it comes to translation, really a big pain, because they don't provide all the translation parts within one, let's say, structured way you can get it from, but it's on several places within the systems. And so we really had to use, I think, about 40 to 50 different endpoints to fetch all the proper metadata to be able to translate them also properly. So we are using metadata API, tooling API, SOAP API, and so on and so on. So basically the whole palette of APIs we're using to get the metadata in the correct way. Then we are transforming them to be able to use them in here. This process depends on the org, can take between 2 to 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depends if it's a really big org, but it takes some time to run. So while this is running, I will jump into the dev environment to show you how we can translate it. Okay, here we just have 2 languages, so I will add 1 more language.
Matej, could you maybe zoom in a little bit more? I'm also thinking about the published video, which is a bit easier to render.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Is it better?
Yeah, much better.
So I will add some languages in here, which is French, just to present what we could do, Italian, Japanese, and let's say Spanish.
Yes, please.
Okay. Also Portuguese? Or Portuguese, Brazil?
Also Portuguese.
Here we are, for sure. Okay, back to the translator here. So to get the languages, because we just have these 2, we again have to retrieve. Exactly, so a little bit stupid, but we can continue in here with UAT. So what can we do? We select the org we want to work on. We select the metadata. You select, or we select the languages, and you can select, not like in the metadata translation workbench in Salesforce, just one language by one, and then clicking through one metadata type by the others. You can select all of them. So now here I selected the languages, all of them. Exactly. What I could do right now, I could select all 1206, but I will not do it. I will go just to the translation missing, where the translations are missing, and I will click on translate. Also, what is important is we have different translation engines which can be used. So we have Google Translate, DeepL, AWS, and our SimpleT AI default. SimpleT AI default takes the longest because it's AI, and it just takes some time. But with the other ones, it's going really, really quick. So I can show this to you. Zack, it's translation in progress. And it's okay because all has been selected.
Matej, could you perhaps also zoom a little here that we see that a bit better?
Yeah, I can zoom in for sure. Just wondering why they run into errors. Maybe this way.
It's just because 𝗵𝗵𝗺𝗁𝗃 screen just gets even a slightly small image. That's why we asked the zoom out.
Yeah, totally understand it. So exactly, it ran into an error. All the errors can be seen in the logs. Why we got an error in here, just to present this one more time. So I can remove the labels. Okay, here we are. So I selected this metadata plus the next one, and I can click on translate. And after we send a request, it's coming back, and the translation is there for all these values. What we also have, so we translated the metadata into all languages for as many metadatas as we want. I will present it on the other org, should also run on the other org properly. What can be then done, so if you would like to you don't like the standard translation which is coming, you can click into the field, and on the right side you get a suggestion for it. So the suggestion can be an AI suggestion, but can also be a suggestion from the other translation management systems. So you could use either these ones or this one at the top. What you could also do is shorten the thing. You can define any custom AIs you want, any custom prompts you want, and take this translation then directly into it. This feature is pretty cool. For instance, if you have validator messages, you don't like the message you have, then you can work together with the suggestion to just let it look nicer. Exactly. Let's go back to the dev organization just to play it the correct way. Okay, we are now in the dev organization. We see that 1,153 are missing. Okay, they run into an error. Not sure why we have this error, but interesting. What I could do also, I could filter for special ones. Let's say here in this case. I could also filter by my name, the ones I created, for instance, start date, end date. In this case, we have 252 now for all languages, and on the case object or on case similar records. Let's click here, translate this. Interesting. That's always good. Okay, now it worked. Looks like maybe some bug got deployed, but here we are. So we translated for all the languages these for metadata. We can immediately deploy them into the org. So I could deploy them right now. You click deploy, and it's deployed directly into the Salesforce organization. So here it is. We have the label translated, and it's in the organization. So basically, what have we done? We retrieved it, we translated it with the features which are available in SimpleT, and also deployed it into the org. Now, if you are working in a scenario like let's say you have you're working with Scrum, Kanban, or whatever, you have user stories, task, or whatever way you're working, but you have packages where you implement stuff, and you would like to bundle the translations to know later on what you have translated and what you have done. You can go with following way. So you again select the metadata, go to the top and create a metadata translate job. Let's give it a user name. US minus, let's say 3. With the selected metadata, now we created a job. So the user story free job. Also, if you scroll down on the bottom, you can see the metadata added to this job. you could still continue working on it. And once the developer finished working on the job, he can open the job and submit the job. So there is an approval process built, so you can submit the job. And this job is now sent to the corresponding country's approver. And as soon as they approve, so they can go in, they can also work on the translations, can check if they like the translations in their own language, and could also then approve. If they approve, you can deploy it into one or multiple orgs. Just to show it to you, what's also, let's continue with approval process. So here, as you can see, some languages don't have an approver, some have, like these ones, and I'm the approver for all of them. I will approve it. So it's approved, and now I would be able to deploy the job. But before deploying, let's say I would like to check, is the metadata available at all in the other organizations? I can select the UAT and the production organization. Now all organizations are in here, and I see the difference in the between the organizations. In here we see it's already, they already have some values in there. So basically it's the same translation already on all organization. If it wouldn't be, you would see kind of the difference between the organizations. Let's maybe do this quickly before. Back to the metadata translator. And I will select all cases and add to the job. Yeah, the job is not open anymore. So I can add the metadata to the job. They are now in the job. And in here, let's say I select UAT and production environment. And if I go down, I see the difference. So let's say no translation for this metadata. If I would translate it, then the translation would be, and if the translation is different, you see it. If there is no metadata, which you may have on one org but not on the other, then you also see it in here. So basically you can compare the metadata for translations between the organizations in here. Then the last step after approval. So let's approve again. After approval, the deploy job action is appearing. You can click on deploy and deploy it immediately into all 3 orgs, the same as we did before. So maybe I can also demonstrate this one. Yeah, here. Now it's deployed into all 3 orgs. After checking the orgs, so when we would, if we would retrieve the orgs again, we would see that the translations look the same in all 3. So I could quickly do this. Exactly, basically a translation management system where you can put the translations into a job, to keep them there, to work on them together with people from the countries or together with dedicated translators, and a translation management system where you can translate any metadata, retrieve them, and deploy them. So all the metadata which are available via APIs. Exactly. So this was the SimpleT metadata translator. For sure, there are more deep functionalities in there, but I wouldn't like to go into everything right now. Are there any questions from anyone?
Yeah, first, thank you, Matej. I think that was quite clear. So before we start with the proper Q&A, so we have zoomed in on the, I just caught up with chat messages, so we have zoomed in on the applications. I hope that was legible enough. If you could go back to the point where we start the process. So you have already several orgs connected. but for that to happen, you would sure go into the website interface of your tool and you would configure the connections first, right?
That's true. Yeah, exactly. So you can go into the org credentials section and just click on it, decide if you want in sandbox, production, or custom domain, and configure it.
Yeah.
Also, there are further configurations, like you can decide, is an org really deployable? Do you really want it? Because every company has their own policies, and some do not want to really deploy with the tool throughout all environments. Some just want to use it for the development environment, and some really like it for all environments, let's say. That's why we also added this feature, and there are also other further features you can jump directly to the Salesforce org.
So just for clarification, as we didn't see the landscape, coming back to the landscape, so we have our Salesforce orgs, and do we need to install any packages in those orgs from the App Exchange?
For the metadata translator itself, you don't need to install any packages. So it's really a third-party tool and also in software as a service. But we have packages to install, but it's not related to the simple metadata translator. It's more related to AI components and translation components within Salesforce. So if you would like to, let's say, translate records or values, data sets within Salesforce, then you can install these managed packages. But this is kind of a separate product from ourselves, which I think would be too much to go into today.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some time left, as you were pretty quick. Then I need to have the orgs available, and then on the other hand, when we have the SimpleTranslate website, right, where I need to have an account and log in, so I can register for that, right?
Exactly. Here is the SimpleTranslate website. You can just go to get started, register, and log in.
Yeah. And you said in terms of licensing, in terms of tiers, there is a free tier actually, right?
Exactly. So everyone can use it. There is a free tier. And the free tier, I think, can handle up to 12,000 translations or words to be translated, around 12,000. With that already a lot can be done.
That was on a monthly basis, if I recall.
Exactly. So we have a paid tier, which is on a monthly basis, which is 500 euros a month. Exactly, and the free tier, these two.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody can basically go to your website and they can register and they can test drive it, right?
Totally right, exactly. So just go to SimpleT, register with your Google account, with your Salesforce account, with email and password, however you want. You will get to this page. You can click start using it. And we have also a pretty simple setup wizard to go through, which will guide you through the first steps to set everything up, to check the first environments, to set up the prerequisites within Salesforce. So what needs to be enabled within Salesforce to be multilingual, exactly, to create the environment credentials, retrieve the first data, enable or disable translation engines, so you can also connect your own translation engines to the system, and in the end, for sure, have fun.
In terms of access rights to the org, is there a specific segment of access rights that we can grant, or does it have to be an admin profile, or?
I would definitely recommend, and so it does not have to be an admin profile. We just need the visibility to the metadata. Exactly. So it does not have to be a full admin. We don't need access to the data. I think, I'm not sure how the permission is called, but there is one definitely.
Yeah, I mean, for the convenience of the audience, should we maybe put the link to your website in the chat? Just an idea. So now in terms of Q&A, I would hand over to Jonas, who moderates the Q&A.
Yes, hello guys. Let's get right in. 𝗛𝗃𝗲𝗧𝗿𝗁 has a question. She asks, are you able to download the metadata files with the translations to be able to commit to a report?
Download the translations to a file to be able to commit to a report. Why do you want to commit it to a report? Just to understand it.
I think it's repository metadata, a Git repository or whatever.
Yeah, this is because we don't, for example, we don't deploy directly to the org. We do it through, we commit to a repository for each environment. So when there is a merge, then it deploys to the Salesforce environment. So I was wondering if the translations that it does, are we able to like download the files so that we can commit to the repository, and then we can deploy that way?
Right now, no, it's not possible. So the files we are deploying into the system are really just also the minimal translation files which are possible, and we are not using the normal metadata API for deploying them into. And yeah, to be short, it's not possible, but we also have people and customers using SimpleT. They do it in the way that they are translating everything, then deploying to the dev environment, and then getting and fetching the information from the dev environment. But you still would need to manually fetch the correct files. That's true.
Jonas, I will maybe ask a question directly if there isn't any other at this time. So in terms of the scope of metadata translated, you mentioned that you are accessing different APIs. But is the scope then larger than the one we can get to with the translation workbench from Salesforce in the Salesforce interface? Is there more that we can translate here than we can translate in the setup?
So we are getting all the metadata which are available via interfaces for translations, but not all are available via interfaces. So there are a lot of translations you can't deploy between environments. That's a Salesforce thing. They didn't provide it. So these ones we are not able to represent in here. Some of them are in the translation workbench. Some of them are just available if you export the translation file. So exactly. But the ones which are available via the APIs from Salesforce are in the system.
So if I understand you correctly, it's actually a subset of what's available in the translation workbench, even if the delta is minor.
Exactly. So in here are the most important ones, definitely. So you can have a quick look into it. The other ones, let me just show this to you. So in Salesforce, there are, in the translation workbench, there are much more, some more, but the ones which are in there are really kind of things which are not used often, or even Salesforce didn't implement it, kind of an API to deploy the translation. So it's really that these are minor metadata, and these ones still, like also right now in Salesforce, would need to be translated manually.
So one example would be S controls. That is certainly something that is rather outdated.
Exactly.
Is there something that is maybe more modern that we would be missing in your tool?
Not really, no. So the ones which are mainly used for development are all in there. The ones which are not in there are so. To be honest, I didn't have any request till now that somebody wants to translate anything which is missing.
Yeah. And language-wise, I mean, it goes without saying we are bound to the languages that are available in Salesforce. But is the full scope of languages from Salesforce also represented in SimpleTranslate?
Definitely, it is. So maybe to present this to you, we have dedicated translation engines. We are providing the default translation engines of SimpleT AI default, which is GBT in the background. SimpleT DeepL default, so DeepL, Google, and AWS. You can use our default translation engines, but let's say if you already have a translation engine within your company, you could also connect it. So just go to the translation engine. For instance, for Google Translate, you need to provide this ones, for OpenAI this ones, or a custom translation engine where we send a standard format from us. So within the middleware, it could be transformed. Okay, now back to your question with the languages. If one is selected, you can also select the languages in here. Where is it? DeepL, for instance. And you can select which languages which are available in DeepL should be available in the translation engine. Because with DeepL, we can't translate more than DeepL is providing. The same is for Google and the same for AWS. They're just providing a subset of languages. They can be translated with them. And if they can't translate this, we have the AI. And with AI, almost, or not almost, but all languages are translatable.
Mm-hmm. Maybe sort of a follow-up question and referring back to our preparation as well. So I think it might happen that some companies have fields that are related somehow to their products or services, right? Where they have specific terminology, specific glossaries. So you mentioned you could also cover that scenario, right?
So we covered a part of the scenario. Let me go into it. So the most important what we did from the beginning is we provided a default glossary, which is available for Google, AWS, and DeepL. Let's say we select German, and you would see the Salesforce terminology in between. So let's go to account, for instance. Account in Germany still stays account because that's the terminology Salesforce is providing. If you wouldn't set up this glossary, you would get something like Konto here. So in total different meaning of the word. Exactly. So there is a glossary, and for these translation engines, you can also set up your own glossary if you would like. It's important the glossary can be just set up for your own translation engine. So if you connect your own DeepL, you could set up a glossary in here, which is then represented in your own DeepL. Soon, also these glossaries will be able to be used via the AI. So in the SimpleT AI and SimpleT AI default, we would add the glossary for every request. So exactly.
So it's kind of a layered approach, if I understand correctly. So we have the default glossary, which provides some sort of grounding, or how do we want to call it, that we have translations that are not deviating unnecessarily from the Salesforce defaults. And then with the added flexibility that you just highlighted, that it's in the future possible to use it more broadly, we can bring our own glossary and layer it on top of that, right?
Yes. So the default glossary, you can use the default glossary and replicate it into your own glossary, or you just set up your own glossary from scratch, or maybe you already have a glossary if you're using one of the translation engines I provided. I told.
So what you're saying, Matej, is in the design currently, the concurrent usage of several glossaries and at the same time isn't exactly foreseen.
That's not possible, no.
Yeah, I see. Could you maybe walk us a bit through the navigation explicitly? I mean, we've seen it implicitly while you navigated, right? It seemed fairly intuitive. But through the menu and stuff of your website to create a bit more familiarity with that tool?
For the landing page?
Yeah, just through the overall page here, what can I do here? And
yeah, sure. So we have the metadata translator. That's one what I already presented. We have the jobs which can be translated. A job can have multiple statuses. A job can be approved by translators or any other user role. So you can just, for each language, select one or multiple approver. We have glossaries which can be maintained. We have translation engines. So exactly. We also have a translation engine mapping. Let's say you really would like to translate something to which language is problematically? No, it isn't, but let's say Korean, but you don't like the 𝗙nci𝗵𝗄 Korean, but would like to have the Japanese in there, whatever, the stupid example. Then you could select it. The next time we would translate with 𝗙nci𝗵𝗄, we would use this language. This is more important for, let's say, yeah, for English. It's, to be honest, a good thing. So we have English, and I don't want to use English, but British English or American English. Then I could select which, let's say, a variant of the language should be chosen. Then our SimpleT AI components. Not sure if I should go into them right now. And we have yeah, the setup, which is organization. You can see your limits in here, how much was translated, how much tokens did it cost. Okay, now I get why we have why we got the issue, because there are no tokens. Interesting. Yeah, so this is for the AI. Exactly. Also the limits. Our billing tab, which can be just seen by the owner. Notification, so you can set up which notifications you would like to get and which not. You always have all the logs in here, so if something went wrong, let's say in here, like the translation we did, you can always check it out, what happened. Exactly. We have the org credentials. We do have a section. Yeah, I think I don't need to go too deep. Maybe the last thing is the user management. So you can set up users in here and define them, give them a role, which can be owner, admin, developer, translator. Owner has billing rights. Admin can manage everything. Developer can use it. And the translator is just for the approval and the translation in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Any other questions to this?
Maybe to the last point, so I think that looks pretty attractive to be able to have the users connected to the workflow. So I mean, anyway, in a sandbox environment or even in a Scratch org, probably rather sandbox for longevity. We could define users that are outside our organization, like a translation agency, and theoretically give them access to the translation workbench or something. Otherwise, the passing of information would be via the download and re-upload of the translation files, right? Whereas here in this SimpleTranslate environment, we have an actual user base that we don't create from scratch every time. It's like a permanent setup that we can work across projects and across time, right?
Exactly. So the user using it don't need Salesforce access because you are setting it up with the credentials, and the credentials is a technical user. You're also totally right. We don't need to export these files anymore when sent to an agency and you get it back. You can't import them anymore. yeah, and also all the manual steps are gone with it. So you don't need to manually step through Salesforce. And each time if you click in the translation workbench on a button, it takes 30 seconds to load.
So if I'm a specific user that is like outside the organization that is created here, and then I log in here, then I will find what I have to do, and once I've done it, then if somebody doesn't approve it, I need to work on it again. How does that work? So where do I see all of that?
So if I'm an agency and you get the translator role, you basically don't see all of that. You just see the metadata translate job section, and there you will get notified by the approval via email. You get an email. In the email, you can click on it and you will jump right into the job in here. So into this one job, let's say. And in here, the approver can select his own language. Let's say just throw out the rest. And now I'm in French approval. I could go through it and check, do I really like the translation? So in here, for instance, I don't like this part and I could change it. Yeah. So, and that's what an approver could do, could go through it and change the translations, which before that have been automatically set up by the developer.
Yeah. So the approval amounts to kind of a verification process, right?
Exactly.
But can I also do an approval or something? So I can approve the entire job or not, but I don't have like an approve box or an approve action line by line, right?
Not line by line, per language on the bottom. So
Yeah.
per language in the job, we are triggering an approval if the approval is available. For instance, for Italian, we don't have an approval, so it's not necessary to approve. Then, exactly, and as soon as all languages are approved, this button appears and we can deploy.
So in case I disapprove of a specific subset of the job, I would maybe have to write an email to the translator explaining what the problem is and what they should redo, right? I cannot
Exactly.
I cannot flag that in here that I like these 50 lines and I don't like these other 100 lines. I can't work at that level of granularity at the moment, right?
Yeah, no, it's not possible.
Can I add a comment somewhere? Do I have, with my approval, do I have the possibility to add a comment or?
Not really, no, but you can, yeah. It's kind of writing an email if you don't like it at all. Otherwise, the approver is also the one who should double check it, and they could go through and just adapt it manually. That's kind of the thing. But would be great maybe to add a comment. Yeah, that's true. At least to the approval section here down below. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty powerful. I mean, let's see if we have any remaining questions here. Yeah. Suman asks if we could share the link to the website.
Sure.
Maybe let's just put it in the chat. Thank you so much. I mean, you initially, when you presented yourself, Matej, you said what else is available from SimpleT, right?
If you're interested, I could do a small sneak preview.
Yeah, let's do that.
Feature. Okay. So we started with SimpleTranslate. After SimpleTranslate, or while implementing, we implemented already some components within Salesforce, which are for translation and kind of helping people in Salesforce to translate. Then all the AI things came up, a lot of AI everywhere, and we thought like, why not adding AI to the components? And then our second product, which is the SimpleT AI, appeared. So I may just show some examples. So we have an file AI component. So basically you can tell this component whatever it should be. And based on the files in Salesforce or the files opened or picture made, in this case, maybe let me show you the file. It's in here. It's just a business card of myself. So based on the files in there, you can select the file, click Analyze. Now what will it do? With AI, it will analyze the file, provide all the information, and put it into a Salesforce format for this record. So exactly, here we are. The website is there, the mobile phone number, the email, the company, and so on. Now you can like it, dislike it, you can update it, and then everything is updated in here on the left side. So all the informations are there. Mobile, name, company, email, website. That's one thing. The other thing is what we implemented is it's not just one component, it's a lot of components which we implemented. Is the record AI. What can the record AI do? Imagine you get a lead with this description in France. Not sure if anyone speaks France in here, but and let's say, and sales reps would like to understand it. You can just go into the smart lead analyzer. We selected the fields which it should put this kind of which it should fill. You can click on optimize, and we told him what it is. So in this case, we said to him, it is a smart lead analyzer which should provide this information based on the description. So what is it doing? I'm not even sure what's in here because it's France. So I clicked. Let's wait for some seconds. Okay, and it's analyzed. And in here now we get kind of the next steps. That's what I told him to provide to me. We get which product ID does he want. It's basically this part in here. And rating, is it a hot lead or a cold lead? Exactly, in this case, it's a hot lead. Why? Because he said, mark this lead as urgent and response within 24 hours. Why? Yeah. Schedule. Yeah, basically, yeah, I could read through it to understand it, but he provided me a next step action plan on what I should do based on this lead. And why? Because he want kind of an clearly whether the budget cap of 25K is, yeah, for the installation training, whatever. So basically, he described me the lead. So with AI, how can this help? So it can either analyze records. Really, really simple. I can show it to you. So you just go into the Lightning app builder and drag and drop your component into it. So let's say in here, the smart lead analyzer, I dragged and dropped the component and provided them an instruction with fields which it should analyze and what I would like to get back and kind of which actions should be there. If I would like to have translations in there, I could also add translations. Let's say translate the stuff, and then I would have a translate button to also translate all of that. This is the first thing, but now imagine you need much more data. You can, to each of our components, it's just 2 components, we have much more. To each of our components connect a prompt builder, and within that prompt builder you can define much more. So you can define sockets, you can define data, and you can work with scripts. So write your own scripts in there. In the end, let's say here we have a socket with this information. So we're getting data from a case, and we're getting data from case commands and record ID. Let me test the query if everything is working. Yeah, looks fine. And I told him you are a helpful knowledge article creator. Provide an article with following fields in pure JSON format, blah, blah, blah. and provided him this information. So basically, I can just drag and drop the information on whichever level I wanted into this message. Exactly. And on the top, if I would want to test it, I can test the output. And now I have a prompt. This prompt with copy paste, I could copy into any of the components before and could use it there. So with that prompt builder, you have much more possibilities to get all the data from Salesforce you want, to structure them in a nice way, and then play around and check out which maybe OpenAI model in which format makes the most sense to answer. So as you can see, I told him he's a knowledge article creator, and he created me a knowledge article. Now comes the next part, which is the AI command center. Do I have anything in here? So basically, all of these AI things can be tracked within the AI command center. Let's wait for a second because there is a lot. So you could go into, you could check how much did it cost. So it's really some cents, not expensive at all. You can check how much of the cost was taken by the LLM itself, how much of the cost was taken by fixed cost. Let's say you just calculate some fixed cost for this AI use cases and whoever executed it. And also in the execution logs, you can also see all of this, how an execution is looking like. And in the end, you can check if you got good or bad feedback. So I'm in here and we see what was sent. In this case, it's the file image. I could test the prompt and I could work on the prompt to optimize it. So this is a little bit kind of more deeper if you don't want just to use it in the Lightning record page. But if you have small use cases, totally fine if you just do the instructions right into the record page. But in the end, everything can be tracked in the AI command center. Now the last steps are the agents. Imagine, as I showed before, the prompt builder, which is creating a knowledge from a case. In the last step, what we do is we are taking information from Salesforce, putting them into a vector database and make them available with other things within our assistant and agent. This is a chatbot agent, but you can also set up agents in any other way. So triggered agents and so on. And I can ask him, what can you do? Okay, I'm on the UAT. Looks like something is missing there. Let's go to prod. How can you help me? So my agent is now running to the agent, ask it, analyze, and here is the answer. So I can provide you with product details, features, and pricing, assisting in technical documentation and troubleshooting, scheduling product demos, creating customer cases, and so on. So what could I do right now? I could ask him, for instance, anything which is within my documentation. That's how we set him up, or which is in my knowledge base in Salesforce. So because we took the data, put them in a vector database, we structured them, and now all of this is available. Let's say I would like to know how to retrieve data. I could go to my agent and tell him how to retrieve data for SimpleTranslate. So with this, let's say documents or knowledge articles, we set it up properly. Yeah, let's say later on, if they're in a good structured way, we can also reuse them. Interesting. Let's say if he understands this, maybe also somebody's working on that system. I'm not 100% sure. Didn't prepare for this one. Okay, looks like the documentation is not there. Yeah, but yeah. So what he is also telling me is kind of he can now create a support case because he didn't find it. Then I can tell him, yes, create a case. And he would ask me for information. I would provide him the information and he would create a Salesforce case. So then again, the loop is closed. The AI components help to optimize, to work on the records, to work on the data quality. And then the agent in the backend can help on direct interaction with people using that knowledge. Yeah. This is kind of the second product, what we are implementing. Any questions to that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Matej, for this sneak peek. I think that was really very helpful to understand what can be done with the SimpleT platform outside of translation. Thanks for that. And we understand that not all systems might be available at this time. So overall, I saw the keyword beta somewhere. So the platform is still in beta, or is it?
Yes, for this month we are still in beta. So we had a long time getting properly security certified. It just takes some time to do so. We got the ISO 27001 1 month ago, and from 1st of September we will go live properly. Exactly, so we will not be in beta anymore. We are still working heavy on some small things to be improved, but we already got a lot of feedback and a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people who have been working with SimpleT.
Yeah, congratulations. I would maybe hand over first to Rodrigo, if you have some comments on what we've seen today. If you're available, Rodrigo. Maybe he has received a call or something. Daniel, do you have any comments on what we've seen today? Seems to be busy, maybe. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's interested can create an account and they can follow up with you, Matej, right?
Yeah, sure. Always via LinkedIn or just write us via the page.
Yeah. So yeah, then let's hopefully do another session where we go into full detail on the full range of AI tools. Thank you so much for today. Let's see if we have anything else coming up here. Yeah, the audience is also thanking us. Yeah, thanks everybody for attending. I hope you found it useful. And yeah, wish you a nice rest of the day. Last word to you, Matej.
Thanks for everyone for participating. Yeah, as said before, if you have any questions, just reach out to me via LinkedIn or also just write to our support. You can always, there are multiple channels you can reach out to us if you have any questions.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.